I'm Donna Blanchard, and this is your ThinkTech Daily News for Thursday, June 18th, 2015. The man suspected of killing 9 people at a prayer meeting in a church in North Carolina yesterday has been arrested today. Dylan Storm was arrested after an intensive 14-hour manhunt. He's 20 years old and apparently sat in on the prayer meeting for a full hour before opening fire. Attorney General Loretta Lynch said at a news conference today that they will be looking at all of the facts, all of the motivations that led this individual, if in fact he is the shooter, to carry out the killings. It is really premature to determine which is the best venue, either state or federal, to pursue this matter. The shooting is being investigated as a hate crime. Roof is white and is wearing white supremacist emblems in his Facebook profile pic. The site of the crime is an historic African-American church, and the victims were all African-Americans. A cousin of the pastor who was one of the victims told NBC that the gunman entered the church, asked for the pastor, and sat next to him during Bible study before opening fire. He reportedly said, "I have to do it. You rape our women and you're taking over our country and you have to go." President Obama spoke passionately about the incident in a press conference today, saying that we have to address the issue of the easy availability of guns in this country. He said incidents like this just don't happen in other countries where guns are not readily available. Pope Francis called for a radical transformation of politics, economics, and individual lifestyles to confront environmental degradation and climate change today, as he delivered his papal encyclical, which blames environmental exploitation and destruction on apathy, the reckless pursuit of profits, excessive faith in technology, and political short-sightedness. The most vulnerable victims are the world's poorest people, he states, who are being dislocated and disregarded. He goes on to write that climate change is a global problem with grave implications: environmental, social, economic, political, and for the distribution of goods. It represents one of the principal challenges facing humanity in our day. For a decade now, many conservative leaders and pundits have disregarded climate change reports and have publicly denounced the science behind it altogether. This now makes the Pope more liberal than many of them, forums such as Fox News. Today, the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees released an annual report with figures on displaced people in the world. The report states that nearly 60 million people have been driven from their homes by war and persecution, an unprecedented global exodus that has burdened fragile countries with waves of newcomers and littered deserts and seas with the bodies of those who died trying to reach safety. Half of the displaced are children, and nearly 14 million people were newly displaced in 2014. The report goes on to find that most refugees fleeing their own countries end up in the world's less developed nations. Turkey, Iran, and Pakistan host the largest numbers, as there has been a sharp backlash in European capitals against the waves of people coming across the Mediterranean Sea from Syria and Eritrea. Poorer countries like Ethiopia and Kenya become more and more burdened. European Union leaders are still batting around ideas about creating refugee quotas, prosecuting human traffickers, and destroying the boats they use. But Australia's Prime Minister Tony Abbott has boldly pledged to turn around migrant boats before they even enter Australian waters. And Hungary has introduced plans to build a giant fence along the Serbian border to keep out migrants. Antonio Guterres, the High Commissioner for Refugees, said in a statement accompanying the EU annual report, "For an age of unprecedented mass displacement, we need an unprecedented humanitarian response and a renewed global commitment to tolerance and protection for people fleeing conflict and persecution." There's a big party at Soldier Field in Chicago today for Blackhawk fans celebrating their 3rd Stanley Cup title in the last 6 years. That's not really world news, but I needed a happy story to end on. Congratulations. Hooey ho, everyone. Donna Blanchard, ThinkTech Daily News.